Welcome back to Everyday English Podcast. I'm Lisa, and today we're going all in on one of the most requested topics from our listeners: how to truly master English listening comprehension. Joining me as always is my partner in crime, David. David, I know this is a topic close to your heart because you learned English as a second language yourself.
That's right, Lisa. And let me tell you, I remember those frustrating early days when native speakers sounded like they were speaking 100 miles per hour while chewing marbles. But here's the good news. With the right approach, anyone can train their ears to understand English effortlessly.
I love that optimism. Let's start with what I call the listening paradox. Many learners spend years studying English but still struggle with listening. Why do you think that is, David?
Great question, Lisa. I see three main reasons. First, classroom English is often too clean and slow. Second, learners focus too much on individual words rather than phrases and rhythm. And third, this is crucial, they don't practice active listening regularly enough.
Couldn't agree more. So let's break down solutions. For beginners, what would you recommend as their first step?
Start with listening breadcrumbs. Small, manageable pieces of audio you can understand about 70-80%. Podcasts like ESL Pod or BBC Learning English are perfect because they speak clearly but naturally. The key is to listen to the same 2 to 3 minute clip multiple times until it clicks.
That's brilliant. I'd add that beginners should practice ear training with minimal pairs. Words that sound almost identical, like ship.
Fantastic suggestion. Now for intermediate learners, I recommend the sandwich method. First listen without subtitles, then with English subtitles, then without again. This builds confidence while expanding vocabulary.
Yes. And intermediates should start noticing chunks, how words connect in natural speech. For example, I want to becomes I wanna, or going to becomes gonna. This is where shadowing practice becomes powerful.
Absolutely. For advanced learners, I suggest listening jogs. Taking walks while listening to podcasts and trying to summarize what you heard afterward. The physical movement actually helps retention.
That's such an innovative technique. Now let's talk about accents. Many learners panic when they encounter different English accents. What's your advice?
Think of accents like musical genres, Lisa. You don't need to love them all, but exposure helps appreciation. Start with one base accent, like American or British, then gradually mix in others. The All Ears English podcast does a great job comparing accents.
Perfect analogy. And for those struggling with movies and TV shows, I recommend the 3-pass approach. First watch with subtitles, then with English captions only, then completely raw. It's challenging but transformative.
Couldn't agree more. Now let's talk about common pitfalls. The biggest one I see is learners getting discouraged when they don't understand everything. Lisa, how do we reframe this?
Such an important point. Understanding 100% is unrealistic. Even natives miss things. Aim for comprehensible input where you get the main ideas. Think of it like building a bridge. You don't need every brick to cross the river.
Love that analogy. Another pitfall is passive listening, having English on in the background while doing other things. While it's better than nothing, active listening with full focus gives 10x the results in half the time.
Exactly. Now let's get practical with a 30-day listening challenge we've developed. David, walk us through week 1.
Days 1 to 7. Start with 10 minutes daily of slow, clear English like VOA Learning English. Focus on identifying stressed words and sentences. They carry the most meaning. Keep a Heard journal to track progress.
Week 2 intensifies to 15 minutes of natural speed podcasts like the daily. The goal isn't perfection, but noticing recurring phrases. I call this pattern hunting.
Week 3, we add video content. TED Talks are perfect. Watch once without subtitles, then practice shadowing key segments. By now, you should feel your brain adapting to the rhythm.
And week 4 is immersion week. 30 minutes daily mixing podcasts, YouTube, and real conversations if possible. The key is variety and pushing comfort zones.
Now, let's talk tech tools. My current favorite is Otter.ai, which transcribes speech in real time. You can read along as you listen, then review difficult sections.
Amazing pick. I'm obsessed with LingQ for importing YouTube videos and analyzing the vocabulary. Both tools help bridge that gap between hearing and understanding.
Before we wrap, let's address a listener question. How long until I see improvement? Lisa, what's your realistic timeline?
With consistent daily practice, most learners notice meaningful improvement in 6 to 8 weeks. But here's the secret. It's not linear. You'll have aha moments where suddenly whole chunks become clear.
Exactly. And those breakthroughs come from compound learning, small daily efforts adding up. Remember, even natives spend years refining listening skills.
Beautifully said. To all our listeners, be patient with yourselves. Every minute of focused listening is rewiring your brain to understand English naturally.
And we're here to cheer you on every step of the way. Next episode, we'll tackle how to train your ear for business English and meetings.
Until then, happy listening. And remember, every great English speaker was once a beginner too.
Catch you next time on Everyday English Podcast.